Hi, I'm Mark Franco. Welcome to the Snap Language Learner Level Up Podcast, Episode 3. The best place to learn a language is where it's spoken, right? Well, really? You have more opportunities to use the language in real-life situations, don't you? But do these opportunities come to you, or do you have to make an effort? Yeah, but living where the language is spoken forces you to speak the language round the clock. And who will you speak with in that language all day? I'm not dismissing the idea that learning a language where it's spoken is great, but this idea can be a little simplistic. It leaves a lot of information out. So let me tell you a personal story that illustrates where I'm trying to get at. I had a year of German in college when I had this amazing opportunity to study German on a full scholarship at the Goethe-Institut in Germany. That's one of the best places to learn German. Well, when I got there, of course, all the other students were from all over: Mexico, the US, Brazil, France, Egypt. And after class, I was in linguistic heaven. We'd go out to a cafe or just walk around, and everybody was speaking a different language. A couple of people speaking French over here, some people speaking Italian over there, but no German. Oh, actually, I met this Italian guy, Giovanni, who spoke to me in Italian all the time. I would tell him, Giovanni, I don't speak Italian. He would say, but your name is Franco, you're Italian. You must learn the language. I'm like, my great-grandparents were from Italy. Well, it was really cool. The problem, I was learning more Italian than German. After a couple of months there, I was not happy with my German at all. I thought I'd be much farther ahead. So, what to do? Well, when the scholarship was up, I found out I could go to college in town, in the local university. It was a great place to study, but I was doing the same thing all over again. Everybody was from a different country, of course. It was German as a second language. And I was in the same place. A few months into it, I was so frustrated. I decided I had to do something about it. What I decided to do was very simple. I decided to speak German only. Some of my friends thought it was kind of weird because we were not used to speaking to each other in German, but some thought it was fine. Their German was pretty good. Soon after that, my international friends and I went to a music show, and three of us were speaking German here. I only spoke German in public. And this German guy came up to us because we were speaking German. He felt comfortable to approach us, and he asked us what we were doing because he heard all these different languages. And I explained to him we were college students, international college students. And he said, my friends and I are going to a coffee shop. Would you like to come with us? I was all in. I said, yeah, of course. That was my opportunity to hang out with, real Germans. Well, I ended up hanging out with this guy a couple of times, and I met other people through him. All of a sudden, here I am making German friends and speaking German. There was one person in particular, Sabina. She was a college student. She was very bright. We hang out all the time. We went out for coffee and whatnot. And she was very bright, and she would have these conversations with me that I had no business trying to talk about in German. We talk about geopolitics and art and music. But, for me, it was great. And she was really good at explaining things to me in German. Sometimes she would say something that I couldn't understand, and she would explain it really well. Of course, because I was speaking German and I had practically a private tutor who was a good friend too, my German started getting better and better, and it was time to come back home. To this day, when I think about it, I regret that I didn't do something about it any sooner. If I had been more proactive early on, or if I had even noticed what I was doing early on to do something about it, I'm sure I would have learned a lot more. I would have had a full year to learn German instead of just a few months. So what is the takeaway here? What is the point of this story? I have two major points. One is that when living in a new country or culture, you can put yourself in a bubble. I call it the socio-cultural bubble. Let's take the United States as an example, since I live here and I also teach English here. So I see a lot of my own students in this socio-cultural bubble. That's a place where you only speak your home language, you only have friends from your culture, and nowadays you can listen to the radio from your country over the internet. You can stream TV shows from your country. You get on the internet, you can read the news in your language about your country. So you see what I'm getting at? You are inside this bubble where you're walking around, you're living in the United States, and you've been here for years, and you're still in your country. You're inside this bubble. And sometimes my students tell me how frustrated they are because they've been living here for years and they feel that they're still struggling with the language. When I talk to them, I quickly realize that they're not giving themselves opportunities. They're not creating opportunities to experience the language and the culture because they're inside the socio-cultural bubble. The second point is that there are ways that you can break through the bubble and experience the language, experience the culture. That's what I did when I was in Germany. It took me a while to realize what I was doing, that I was in a socio-cultural bubble. Well, it was an international bubble, more like, but it's still, I was in a bubble. I noticed that and I realized that I had to do something about it. I did not want to live in that place as long as I did and still not know anything about it from, the cultural perspective. And I wanted to learn the language. It was important to me. And you can do that while still maintaining ties with your own culture and language. For example, let's say you are interested in photography. Well, take a course in photography. Yes, you can take an ESL course. That's what most people do when they realize that they're so frustrated and they're stuck because they don't speak English after having lived here for so long. They go to college, they take a college level course in English, ESL. But, you go to class for an hour and a half. Your classmates all speak different languages. You end up meeting people from your country. So you're broadening your bubble. Once you leave the classroom, you're going to hang out with, the people that speak your language. You're back in that bubble. So pick a course like a non-ESL course. You like photography, take a course in photography. Of course, money is an issue, but there are many courses around town that you can find that are either very cheap and sometimes even free. There are many organizations that offer, courses, cooking lessons, and if you like sewing or whatever it is that you are interested in. And why that? How are you going to learn English by taking a course in photography? Well, the other students in that course most likely will be English speakers. They'll speak English to you. The course will be in English. The students speak English. You have something in common, so you can approach these people and you have something to talk about. You're all there for photography. You're all there to learn photography. So you can talk about it, and from there you can start talking about other things, and who knows, you can even make friends. I want to clarify two things here that are very important. First, there's nothing wrong with keeping ties with your language and culture. Actually, I think it's healthy. You can break through the socio-cultural bubble and still preserve your traditions, celebrate your culture, have friends from your country, and so on. And also, each person's situation is different. I use myself as an example of breaking through the bubble, deciding to break through that sociocultural bubble. But at the time, I was young. I was there as a student. I didn't have other responsibilities, so there were many things that I was able to do that a different person, someone who is married and has children and a job, would not be able to do the same thing. I'm well aware of that. But if you're unhappy with your language skills, even though you've lived in the country for several years, then you need to evaluate your situation and find some effective ways of breaking through the bubble and start experiencing your new community. Of course, this applies to people living in the country where the language is spoken. If you're learning English, for example, but not in an English-speaking country, then you're in the bubble. You have to be. But there are certain things that you can do to get out of that place where you live for a little bit and find experiences that will help you learn English and understand the culture faster than just going to a course, doing some exercises in a textbook, and that's that. But that's the next episode. We'll talk about some solutions that you can use if you're living in the States and are trying to break through the socio-cultural bubble, and I'll also have some tips if you're living in your own country, in a non-English speaking country. So don't miss out on the next episode. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. And I would really like to hear from you. Have you had this experience living in a place where a different language is spoken, wanting to learn the language, but finding yourself in a sociocultural bubble? And if so, did you find effective ways to get out of it? Were you stuck in it? I would like to learn from your experience, different things that you did. I have an article on the Snap Language website. If you come up with some good suggestions, I may add it to my article. Okay, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.